Hello! Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Fabled Narrative, and let's get right into this. Avatar Korra, The Legend of Korra, Episode 5, The Spirit of Competition. Korra and her Fire Ferret teammates struggle to forgive and work as a team after certain romantic rivalries throw them off balance. I guess Book 1 Air. Yeah, Book 1, let's go with that one. I'll start introducing it every single time like that. Book 1 Air, Episode 5, The Spirit of Competition. But anybody here who is new, welcome. Thank you very much for being a part of this. I've made a decision about going through the entire Avatar, the Legend of Korra series, because I have thoroughly enjoyed the Avatar, The Last Airbender series. It's amazing. I saw it when I was a child. It still holds up to today. There's some issues, or it's not a perfect creation, but it's definitely not bad. It's definitely not bad. And there's certain things that are time honored. The story that it tells takes time, and the development of characters that win their moments to be converted or to change. For example, Zuko, he does the wrong thing in the first season, tries and fails. In the second season, he has his whole issues, fails and tries to do the right thing, and then when he does, he makes the decision to do the wrong thing, and then in season 3 he has his redemption arc. Well, it takes 3 seasons to create that development of character, where in Avatar Korra they rushed the development of the characters too quickly because they were going season by season, because Nickelodeon gave them a only one season at a time, other than season 3 and 4, to tell the stories. They've decided to tell a complete story with only one season. And in the second season, again, full arc all the way, we need to tell a complete arc. Rather than leaving it off with a cliffhanger, so they have room to develop more content. A great example would be Firefly. If you haven't seen Firefly, I highly recommend it. It's the best summary that I've even had a conversation when I purchased a Firefly Collector's DVD, because I was sort of on a binge on wanting to collect DVDs, hard physical discs, at the store within the last few months or so. And when I was at Half Price Books, well, I got it, and we were talking back and forth. We both had masks on because of the beer bug, and he said, like, "Oh man, Firefly, I didn't know that was on the shelves." It's like, yeah, man, it's a really good series. And he mentions, like, yeah, man, I've seen it all of it, like, twice or 3 times in the last month. It's like, oh, wow, oh, okay. And then my mother was right here because we were going to go and see family together. And, a few hours, and go and stay a night at a family's place. And I was asking, like, well, if you were to describe it to her, I've described it multiple times, how would you describe Firefly? And he said, as I said, it's Western in space. That's it. It's Western in space. It's very simple. CGI is very simple. It's all about story development, the characters. You might agree or disagree with some of why and any and all things, what they do, but at the same time, it's they're doing what they're doing, and it's just it's a wonderful conglomerate of storytelling. It's really great. And then the movie, I think, did everyone well, and a lot of sad moments in that one too, but I will withhold any and all spoilers from that. So that's enough what do they call it, preamble, pretext, premature, prenatal, I don't know. The word's preface. Okay, I was thinking of the word preface. Ooh. No. No. Oh. Oh my gosh. They're forcing this so hard. From what I took away, Mako was kind of concerned about Korra, was kind of curious, but it wasn't like, oh, I love you. And with Korra being denied by the bad boy, and that being challenged and seeking out getting some type of attention from the one guy who's been denying her, while everyone else is like, oh, I love you so much, you're the Avatar. Where it's Like, maybe that one aspect is the only aspect that can really combine the two. But up to this point, no, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Because if we go back to episode 3 or 4, whichever episode it was, I think it was 3, where she she was trying to save Bolin with Mako, and because of that event, you got to see a little bit of a connection. And the connection itself wasn't like, oh, I like you, I love you. Her only having eyes for Mako, not necessarily. Like, you could argue up to this point that it's not. But having a position, like, of... I love the way that they're doing it by, like, hey, we're going to be doing some exposition dump here at the very beginning, at the beginning of the video. But that really, you can argue it the other way. There were maybe some moments at which they were like, oh, this is kind of awkward. We're two young people. Oh, we have some hormones there. Let's go and party down in the big bad ocean, in the big blue sea or something. If you catch my drift. But again, it's one of those. No, I would actually argue against that. I might be antagonistic at this point, but I don't see that being like, I've only had eyes for you. And if we go back to with her looking towards the arena, that one scene was primarily to focus that Korra was looking forward to the practicing within the arena. Like, that's what I took from it. Like, you were looking at the arena. That's amazing. Well, they live there. Well, couldn't it also be argued both ways then? It's like, that's kind of interesting. I mean, I'm still at the point where I think they rushed it. Again, there were, I think, fewer episodes than in Season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and they tried to rush all of this. And because of that, it can be interpreted. Now, one of the worst arguments I've heard is that because it's canon, then they just continue to argue. It's like, well, it doesn't matter if it's canon or not. Like, just, okay, Disney Star Wars is quote-unquote canon. Does it mean it's good? Are you arguing from the basis of it's good, or that in this world this is what's happening? Well, I would say in this world, if they have only had eyes for each other, and he might be exaggerating at the very beginning, we haven't even started the whole thing and I already have an issue with this. Like, wow. Just because something is canon doesn't mean it's good. Just because it's good doesn't mean that it's canon. I personally prefer the unabridged version of Sword Art Online. I respect the original version. The unabridged version of Sword Art Online, I think, has better character development. It is an absolute parody of the original. It makes fun of it constantly, and at the same time, they can only do that because of the original content that came before it. And as though I respect and, love it to some extent, it is flawed in many ways, the original Sword Art Online anime. There's a lot of characters that they didn't develop, a lot of floors that they could have explored. They rushed it way too quickly. They wanted to focus first and foremost on Asana and Kirito, and I like that aspect, but they missed out on so much. Some of the storytelling, I wouldn't say is contrived, I might be using the wrong word, was a little silly at times. Yeah, we'll just stop it right there. So, I disagree. It's like, I'm planning on making an entire series, or a series where it's probably like maybe 4 minutes to 20 minutes, where I just break down everything within this episode and explain why it's not canon. I'm planning on doing that. It's not that it's not good. Again, I prefer the unabridged Sword Art Online parody series. It's not canon, but I love it so much better. It's so silly, but at the same time, the characters are actually better, which is fascinating. With this, I don't think it's canon. But once it's not canon, it actually has a lot of room of any and all issues that it has actually is blown to the wind because it now doesn't challenge any of the original content. I personally don't understand why Toph can be a police officer and establish a police force when her entire personality is live and let live, leave me alone. And then, how the flip does she revert back to that original personality at the end of her life? Usually, you change. It's either she changes into something else, which again, that I don't know where I would be I don't know how I would be thinking about the entire series if that was the case. But even then, that might even still be even more of an issue that you changed fundamentally the original character. I think Lynn could have created the entire police force and established the metal-bending elite police officers. That would have been amazing. It shouldn't have been Toph, but instead Lynn, her daughter, and then her other daughter, goes and develops the metal bending city. Again, you can have it where the mother is so relaxed on rules and telling her children what to do, and maybe even moving away from her husband or the father of the two because she doesn't want to be associated with, being bogged down, being told what to do. Oh, I don't want to bend or change for anyone. And it's like, well, that's not good for a relationship, which would be very understanding as to why a relationship can crumble. I mean, it's not that she was incredibly independent. And something like that, so on and so forth. There's so many things. From this first few seconds, we haven't even gotten into it. Okay, so I have to watch this again. This is unfortunate because I think they just contradicted themselves. If they just said that it was Korra that only had eyes for... it's one of those things of, like, you can kind of interpret it either way. Maybe of, like, I don't know, only had eyes for each other. I might be wrong. I think I'm wrong in this situation. I just need to see it again. Okay, so she's only had eyes for one fella, Mako. But that sort of, okay, but the way you're saying it is like she was madly, deeply in love, rather than just being like, well, I kind of like you. Like, okay. It's like, yeah, okay. That's kind of how I felt. They kind of felt awkward towards each other, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that they have to go and bang in the next episode. They're not going to go and get lovey-dovey. It's like they may have, they're teens. Their hormones, the hormones are in flux. They may be doing wild things. Okay, it's just the way that they presented it. That was the only thing that I had an issue with. I didn't get it at first, now I do. You see, let's compare this to something that we already understand, or something that we've already covered. In Avatar The Last Airbender, which should be very comparable to this one, because this is the exact same universe, and they're taking many of the same tropes, I would say, from the original and trying to make them a bit more, quote-unquote, adult, which they could have done it so much better by still focusing on the children aspect, and then maybe some adult-themed aspects like war, poverty, those type of things that they covered greatly in the original series. They could have addressed here rather than making it more teenage themed. That's one big aspect where you could have kept it just like Shrek 1 and 2. Shrek 1 still was able to be targeting towards children. Shrek 2 may have more, not adult themed, but it's definitely that the characters grew up a bit, but it's more of a family film. It's even with all those hidden jokes and everything. But the one thing I wanted to get at is with the original, I think it was in the first season of Avatar: The Last Airbender, when they go to the fortune teller, and Katara is wanting to go to the fortune teller and seek out, like, oh, what's gonna be my future? What fruit should I eat today? Papaya. Slams the door. But I hate papaya. Great scene. One thing that could occur is, well, during that, Avatar Aang was trying to get the attention of Katara, and was trying to, and ultimately went up to the volcano and grabbed the lily flower that was up on the volcano, because he kept trying to find, like, what do I have to do? How do I talk to her? And Sokka was giving him just terrible, horrible advice. And it was just a mixed match of weirdness. But the thing is that no one ever clashed, maybe except for I wouldn't say the very end. It didn't clash the group. I think that's a great way of putting it. They didn't clash the group. The group still had integrity, not because of a love interest, but maybe because of certain actions. And I'll get back to the love episode. I'm trying to explain what I mean. Is when they were In the third season, Katara went to a river, a little river city, a little river village, and everybody was sick. Feigned that Appa was sick as well, fed him some purple berries that made his tongue blue, purple, and which postponed their travels for a few days, which could have jeopardized their entire thing of, we need to go to war. You're stopping because you want to help a few people when we're trying to help everybody. It's logically, that's absolutely correct. But Katara at the same time was saying, like, what are we? How can we consider ourselves to be helpful if we can't even help these people? It's like, that's, kind of true. I don't think those are the words that she says exactly. It's like, I will not turn my back on people who need me or something. And then she goes down to the river after they have an argument that nearly splits the group, but they're having an incredible argument of, like, what the heck are you talking about? And Sokka is laying down the law. What the heck were you thinking? Small term gain versus the entire world being at stake. What were you thinking? And the thing is that she goes down, she's going to go and help them. Well, Sokka says, like, okay, whoa. Okay, you can't do this without me. Okay, so I'll help you. So I don't know if that's just him stepping in. He's the big brother. He's going to help. But it's something that there was a clash. There's many clashes within the group. When Avatar Aang, at one of the first episodes in the first season, he gets the message of where Sokka and Katara's father is, and including the entire battalion, the fleet, I think. But he hides that information for, I think, a few days, maybe 2 days, maybe a full day, and then the next morning. And because of that, Sokka and Katara were leaving. Like I can't handle you. I don't know if I can even trust you anymore, because you held this information from us. So Katara and Sokka were leaving. They heard a lone wolf, and that reminded the adult figure that they were going to go to their father, that, you know what, you actually need to stay here because there's a lone wolf out there, Avatar Aang, who needs you right now. And it's like, your father, he'll know, he'll understand. You need to go. It's like, yeah, you're right. Sokka, the both of them go and help. Well, because of that action, it's like there is a divide, but it's nothing of a relationship. It's not the relationship that changes. It's something that's greater than the relationship. And when you have this type of love interest relationship, this love interest relationship has a different tactic, a different outcome, because they ultimately have, like, well, we need to work together. But the thing is, it's like, oh, we're just friends. Well, that's not really a reason why you need to be connected. That if we were to compare it with the original series, they came back connected because there was a greater reason as to why we should be connected rather than just being friends. We need to go help Avatar Aang. We need to go help Aang. It's not that he's a friend, he's family. And it's like, not even just a family, we need to help him. It's like there's something that was greater to help somebody, which connected them all in the original series. But in this series, when this whole love triangle, love square happens, I guess it's a love triangle between 4 different people, but 3 of them at a time for each set. Asami, Bolin, and Korra, Asami, and Mako, and then Asami and Korra. And it really is just like, wow, all of y'all are just terrible people. Like, all are stupid. It's like the team, like, it was the Aang gang in the original series, and now it's the Legend of Korra. No, I didn't copyright that little idea that came from ER. That's funny. But that's very true. Like, everybody's dating each other, and it's just weird. It's really weird to be dating each other at any given time. It's like, okay. Aang was trying for 3 seasons trying to get with Katara. Katara turned him down constantly, but he didn't have any other eyes for anybody else. Like, he might have been into, like, kind of like maybe flustered or something in any, like, a specific scene. I don't remember which one, if any. But he really only had eyes for Katara. Man, that's awesome. I'm rooting for him. Yeah, you go, dude. And Sokka was in a relationship until it ended. Like, until he didn't end any relationship. The first girlfriend I think he ever had died. Wow, turned into the moon. Holy hell, dude. But in this one, it's just, it doesn't have that attachment. It doesn't have that dedication level. That's the issue. That's the issue I got. Okay, that's a really good exposition. That's actually a really good exposition. I can't actually imagine it being any better of exposition or any story plot to give of any and all people who have not watched what's going on and to catch people up as to what has actually happened. Oh my gosh, that dialogue was great. That was really good. No, I mean, I was bitching about this entire show, and I'm just having a moment of like, oh, there's something good about it. The entire series, again, if it's not canon, great, fantastic. It makes the entire series better. It makes it worse if it is canon. That's just how I'm seeing it. And I'm finding more evidence. I mean, I'd like to be wrong, but I'm finding more evidence that it's just not canon. I don't mind watching it ever. I'll probably even watch it again if not too firmly established, but after having it firmly established that it's not canon, regardless of whatever anybody else says. Because if it's not canon, okay, then it's its own universe. There's its own story. It's its own maybe timeline. Maybe it's its own fan fiction. Cool, fantastic. It's just like the unabridged version. It's a parody of itself if it's not canon, or if it's a parody of itself if it is canon. It's fan fiction if it's not canon. That's just how I see it. Wait. When did you ever give that type of smile to Mako ever? Korra has never given that type of smile to Mako, but it was more of the... No, it was just an awkward, touchy-feely moments, especially when they were trying to rescue Bolin. And then Mako and her relationship didn't really do anything in the last episode because Korra was out fighting Amon's forces and trying to take down some not sleeper cells, but some hidden cells throughout the city. It's like the whole Mako-Korra thing connected. Not much really happened in the last episode, but now there's a lot of stuff here. Again, they could have slowed this down, and that would have made it a lot more believable. But that's just weird.
Hey, sweetie.
Okay, I just gotta say, let's go back to that one scene with it literally like a second ago. Oh, she gave a wink. Okay, I just want to point out something. Asami, who is rich, that's not the reason I like her, but it doesn't hurt. Asami is rich, okay? The type of character and personality that you have from having seen the entire first season, it helps a lot with a lot of this context. Your CEO father, knowing who you are, being as quote-unquote tolerant of you dating Mako, who is a firebender, whom your father is going to be has a secret hatred for, you don't know what yet. So again, the lifestyle that she is given, the capabilities that she has when it comes to being the CEO, which even when she there's a criticism that I've heard with her being maybe too good of a fighter compared to a lot of the equalists that come and fight when the equalists are all going out through the entire city and fighting people, pretty much like Black Lives Matter and Antifa today. That Asami, I could believe that after having an entire life of his father training her and training her and training her and training her, it's like, well, you need to be protected of the outside world for years. Well, guess what? If you have been training your daughter for so many years, you kind of have you can take care of yourself. It's like I've trained you, I've taught you how to deal with life yourself. Which again, that would actually be, as a father, that's great. But him as a villain actually has a bit of a contradictive nature, because wouldn't he be protective? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. Wouldn't he be protective of his daughter and actually want to have a chaperone for her that is a non-bender at all times, with the best, one of the best tech, highest paid, etc.? Wouldn't that be the case? It's like the type of father that he would be, and the type of person that he is when it comes to the equalist and helping them, the two don't make any sense. It feels like a quote-unquote, not Rian Johnson, but a J.J. Abrams trying to justify the Hordo move of, in Star Wars Disney trilogy, of having the ship be going through the entire, Galactic Empire, or whatever they are at that time, and destroying the entire fleet. Well, the issue with that is that they said in the Rise of Skywalker, it was a 1 in a million move, which means it was a 1 in a million move. 999,999%, or not percent, but out of a million chance to not make it, which means that she would just be fleeing. So why would they bank in a 1 millionth chance to get out of here rather than just sacrificing a few people or the entire ship and going in the other direction while the ships go for safety or something, if I remember the movie The Last Jedi correctly. The issue is, you wouldn't ever do that. It's just silly. You could have it a 50% chance, like a 50-50, cool. A 10% chance, it's like, it's a 1 million out of... Like, that's a very, very, very big thing in a script, I would say. Let's get back into it. The reason I paused this is that Asami brought the Fire Ferret's gear. Well, what happened here is that after Asami and her cute little complexion giving a little wink, it's actually very adorable, Korra has this face. Korra is a bitter bitch, like, let me tell you. Even Bolin is not with Korra, but is happy for his brother, if anything, happy to see Asami. Korra is a grade A cunt. She's so... Oh my gosh. It's like, I've never been denied I've never been denied. I'm the Avatar. You gotta deal with it. Bolin is happy. He's happy for his brother. He's happy to see Asami. Korra, she's literally giving things for free. If you've been given everything for free in your life, why are you not giving everything for free to these people unless you just cannot contribute in that way, which Asami is able to do this? You wouldn't be in this situation. You wouldn't have the Fire Ferrets without Asami. I know, I would probably have the exact same face in that situation, but come on! It's not that in isolation, this one moment wouldn't be as bad. If anything, it's like, I'd probably be pissed off too. But I've seen it constantly in the last 4 episodes. Korra constantly proves to be a grade A bitch. in the episode with saving Bolin, I think it was episode 3. Excuse me. Korra, oh my gosh, Korra was on Naga and with Mako, and they were just going around the city. Well, Naga is Korra's pet, so she has the reins, she has control. And then the moment that they were undercover with their disguise in the Equalist movement at their rally, well, what happened? Korra was going to go for a strike and try to save Bolin with everyone watching. Mako stopped and said, we need to be smart about this, devise a plan, and then we need to execute. And she was like, okay, what's the plan, Captain? And she gave an attitude. That's his brother up there. Why are you... Oh my gosh, you're a bitch. Oh my gosh, you stopped me from doing what I wanted. It's like, you can't just do everything I wanted. And then she kicks in the door at the Triple Threat Triad hangout. My gosh, she's so insufferable. Oh, look at that. I want to puke. That's so adorable. I like this scene.
Well, teammates, leave some ladies for the rest of us.
Oh! Okay, I know that's kind of a comment that he had, but at the very big first episode, we got to see that Bolin was having a cheer, like, people in the audience, some fangirls, say, Bolin! Oh! Because of that, the assumption that I had then was, oh my gosh, you should have, like, some fangirls all around you. Why do you not have fangirls all around you? Is it only when you're acting? Shouldn't you have, like, maybe a following? They specifically called out Bolin. Mako has two quote-unquote girlfriends in this episode, which gets a little weird. I think at the very end of this episode, if I remember correctly, Korra comes on to Mako and then kisses him, but at the same time, it's one of those things that women would actually prefer if the men to actually make the action, like, you know, get in there, do something. It's just one of those weird, it's a little funny moment, it's a little bit more meta, but I don't really have any issue with it. It's but Bolin has a lot of words I'm not saying. trying to filter my thoughts here because they're kind of touching on some Tinder territory over here. Bolin was originally created oh my gosh, I'm the fangirl hunk here. Mako, I mean, there's people out there like Asami that love the Fire Ferrets, love watching them. So she's literally dating an NBL player, which is kind of freaking interesting to think about. It's like, yeah, that actually worked. But it's just that Bolin, where are the girls that are going after him that used to go after him, or is it because Mako is now having it's just a little weird to have what they had before. Now, if Mako was the original heartthrob rather than Bolin, this would make a lot more sense. But if it's Bolin, then I'm curious as to where your fangirls are and where the attention was. Why don't you just go out with one of the fangirls? Now, I know it's kind of like, well, she's special, she's something different, she's unique. It's like wife material. Actually, that's one question you need to have. Is she wife material? At this point, I wouldn't think so. Actually, Mako, you should date both of them to make certain Bolin, to take care of your little brother, Bolin doesn't get with Korra. That would be the best thing, which actually happens. Mako's the best brother ever.
I don't know if she's really girlfriend material.
You see, it's one of these situations of like, I know, would Mako have said that? Really? He's usually cool, calm, and collected, but I guess when it comes to girls, he just has it's very relatable, but it's so on the nose here. He literally could have been like, well, again, this whole thing feels a bit forced compared to the last few episodes, which kind of contradicts this one moment.
She's more like a pal. Bro, gorgeous.
That's one of the reasons why I like Bolin. He has an air personality, wishful, dreamy, hopeful, always going for like, hey, on the bright side. It's great. It's funny.
Okay, I don't care what during the tournament.
But again, you cannot have said that after making the comment of that. It's like, well, I don't think it's just, it feels so forced here. If you didn't make that comment before, let's take the entire conversation up to this point. If you didn't make that conversation before about of whether or not Bolin asking a question and Mako answering in his own perspective of whether or not he should be dating Korra, but he's actually dating Asami. If that question hasn't been brought up, or maybe Bolin instead just saying, well, what do you think of Korra? And then Mako, like, being a bit more baffling, like, well, it's trying to not give a clear answer that he might like her, that might work a lot better. But in this scene, he actually contradicts himself, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a very contradictory nature when it comes to girls. No. To make it better, what would have been best, from what I can tell, is instead introduce the idea of just Mako being interested, not just Bolin. Because Bolin is trying to communicate, well, I kind of like Korra. And just being very subtle with it, and then Mako not giving a clear answer, that would have everything that's up to this point. It's like, no, you shouldn't do it, because as my little brother, it would not be good for you. Like, having Mako still be the cool, calm, and collected guy, and it's like, no, if you date a team member and it doesn't go well, the team will be disintegrated. Like, the structure won't go so well. It's very hard to recover from that type of thing. That he's thinking, like, it's going to be hard to recover if you don't make it with her. So again, that's the better way that this entire scene should have gone.
Keep your head out of the clouds.
Please don't marry the ferret. Please don't. That's some illegal love there. it's one of those situations of just like, poof, there are now more lemurs. Poof, there are now more flying bison. I would have been so okay with having no lemurs. But now, they were just hiding. It's one of the biggest issues that I kind of have. It's not the biggest issue that I have with Kung Fu Panda 3. And I'm actually going to like a few movies that have... hopefully, it's not becoming stale with how often I'm bringing up these same movies over and over. I'm not really watching any other movies, and there's nothing really, I guess, to compare these to. Once I find a movie that is comparable, then I'll go with that one, or comparable. I don't know which one's which. But in Kung Fu Panda 3, or in Kung Fu Panda 2, at the very end, they show that the pandas have actually, they are alive. They do exist. Spoiler alert. And they are living somewhere far from his home in China. Some far off place. The thing is, in this series, they were the last ones. The flying lemur, the last of the flying bison. But now they've not retconned, but they've just, I wouldn't say shoehorned, I think I might be using the wrong word, but they forced this to happen. That might actually be what it is. Let me look up the word shoehorn. Shoehorn. Good old shoehorn. Shoehorning. That's shoehorn for seniors. With long handles. Oh, that looks so weird. Shoehorning. Urban Dictionary. That's so weird. Shoehorn, a smooth curved implement often with plastic or metal. Oh. Okay, no, there's something... I don't know, that kind of makes sense. If you shoehorn something, to squeeze into or as if into an insufficient space. Okay. A curved piece of... Yeah, putting it... Yeah. What seems like forcing something into something else that doesn't make sense or doesn't work. So I would say this is something that I think would be shoehorned. With the flying bison and the flying lemurs, they shouldn't have been here. It looks amazing. They're doing right by it by doing the feeding... their elevated feeding trough. Their hummingbird feeder, so to speak. Their flying lemur feeder? I don't know. It's just this feels wrong. They could have done this entire thing without the lemurs, nor the flying bison. They really could have. And the same example that I keep going to is they have become extinct. That's it. Done. There's no need to be bringing them up. With the flying bison, for anybody out there who's new, flying bison, the best way to get how would Korra learn from the original Airbender? One, she doesn't in the series. She just does it. She has all of the other elements close off to her, and then she can just airbend all of a sudden to save Mako at the very end of this season. So there's no need for a flying bison. One. But if you're going to fix, like, how would she ever learn to fly? What is your alternative? At the very end of the season, she's gone through all these hardships. She's learned about the evil ways of the world, and she's trying to deal with stuff. Maybe she still doesn't know how to bend. Maybe her other elemental powers have actually vanished. Her bending has gone away. But the thing is, well, how can I still be a good avatar if these things have been locked away from me? Well, let's get you to get your spirituality open. She never had that, and then having her with Tenzin practicing in the middle of a valley between two mountains with a cabin in the quote-unquote woods, but actually in the valley. And they practice when the sun comes up to when it goes down, of all the wind that constantly goes through both of the mountains. And because of that, she goes and does her spiritual meditation, but also the bending techniques, the movements, the practices, the martial arts, with the wind through the valley between the mountains. And she does that for days and then weeks, and then Tenzin goes to bed. She's out there and she still practiced throughout the entire night, and then Tenzin comes back out. Korra's still out there and she's practicing, but you see Tenzin's body come over, I say this specifically, and then she's still practicing. Tenzin just starts practicing with her, and Korra starts communicating with him as though he's Tenzin. But you actually look back and for the camera, not her, the camera turns back and you actually see it's Avatar Aang. She's connecting with her spiritual self, that because of the spiritual self that's connected to all those avatars before her, she now has all these movements. And so maybe like a few of the avatars are going with her, and she's able to practice it. And then when the sun comes up, Tenzin comes out and is looking at, like, what the hell's going on? Like, oh my gosh. And then sees her still practicing, and he's really happy about that. And then when the sun comes up and it hits Korra, she activates the avatar state, and she's able to do it. But she doesn't know how to bend the other elements, and then you can have maybe an episode or two, or maybe at the very end of the episode, a compilation of her with all the other masters that she probably that she had, maybe the first 3 at the very beginning of the season. You could have her going through those moments again, and like learning the spiritual side of what does it mean to be like of Earth, and actually feeling the ground. And maybe she can't feel the vibrations, but she definitely has the patience, like Toph, hold, wait, listen, and then execute, and then attack. And that's what she does. And even when there's like maybe gravel that's hitting her face, she's very stern, and you get to feel that, and it's like, ooh, dang, this has been earned. Again, it's just from this. Wow. We're only a few minutes in this, and we're 44 minutes. Oh my gosh. It's going to be a very long series, and I'm definitely going to have to make certain that my points, by making the new series that I'm wanting to make, is that Korra is not canon. I'd have to make certain that each episode, it's only about 4 to 20 minutes. And again, 20 minutes would be very small from what I usually do. I usually go for like 2 hours or something. Why are you using the word rich girl when you yourself have had everything handed to you? You would be considered to be rich, would you not? No, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you have been privileged. You have been privileged. Like, a privileged person saying that, oh, she's rich, that's why he likes her. It's like, aren't you rich? Don't you have things handed to you? You said that. You said that at one point. I don't know which episode, probably the second episode or first, whenever you were joining the Fire Ferrets. And it's like, well, I've never had to pay for anything. It's like people have usually just given me stuff or been handed to me. And there was a big contingent within the group just for like a brief moment of realizing, it's like, well, I didn't mean anything by that. It's like, no, it's okay.
But let's just what I do.
Okay, that face, I sympathize with Korra. I just think that they're still honing on this one point. They could have played this out, but they rush it all in one episode. This entire conversation could happen next episode. And the episode after that could happen with... They just cram everything in a box that should span out within an entire season. They do an entire season's worth of development within developing the relationship between Mako and Korra, if that ever happens. Like, I think it's an established thing, but then Asami's still part of the group, which begs the question as to why she's doing good work, etc. It's weird. I know they all go do their own thing, but then they're all, it's yeah. Which I think within this universe, I think there's many things within this universe that does well. Like that one aspect of, like, they all go doing their own thing in I think the second season. But that begs a question as to other things that happen.
So romantic.
She's the smart one. I know she's supposed to be a kid. She's literally the smart one in the group. She literally is. She's the no. That should be coming from the girl that's younger than her. Okay, because she's saying this very sincerely. Okay, no, literally. That entire thing she was saying sincerely. You need to know where a dragon is. Where are the dragons? No, show. No. Gosh, it didn't feel good. It didn't feel right. I don't know. No. I don't know. This whole scene's just, I guess because it feels so rushed that it... No. Now that's a phenomenal story. Again, everybody at the entire presentation, everybody's so happy, fantastic, great. It's just the build up to this was so rushed. And I want to key on one point, one big point. I know she. Again, a justification of her behavior because that's the way that it happened, rather than, well, it's bad that it happened that way. It's wrong. It was terrible, literally, because she said one point. Seeing my soulmate spend their life with someone who was wrong for him. Let's watch that again. And I confess. Oh, let's go with the. I was so shy and scared of rejection.
So shy.
Yeah, but watching my soulmate spend his life with the wrong woman became too painful. So the point is Asami the wrong woman for Mako? If anything, take Korra out of this entire thing. Mako has been living a thug's life to survive, to make certain he can provide for his brother Bolin, who his parents died in front of him at the age of 8. And for about a decade, he's been working and working and working and working, striving and trying to reach, to resemble some sort of good life. And they sort of reached it when they're living in the apartment in the arena itself. They've worked their way up to that. It's not that he's getting any handout whatsoever. And then Asami bumps into him, and she invites him out. It's just like the best thing that could ever happen to him is a good woman who happens to have a lot of money, but he doesn't care about that. It's a nice benefit, but the whole thing is it's like he's making it on his own, buddy. And then Korra comes in here and fucks them up. It's like, dude, no. Oh, I'm going to say something that's going to be very offensive because I'm just thinking it right now. Doesn't Korra literally make Asami gay? Oh, wait, what are you talking about? She literally comes in, messes their relationship up, and they're happy together. And then after a few seasons, Asami realizes how bad of a father she has, then must be terrible, Mako's horrible now, and dates the only person that is connected to her, because Bolin's just too out there and he's doing his own thing. Bolin is a non-thing to Asami. And then Korra dates Asami. Apparently, it's weird. It's just, there's almost no chemistry between the two of them. They literally just wrap it up in the last episode. So I can sort of say all these things and it's just nonsensical BS. And then Mako, I don't know. It's just weird. Everything in this entire series is rushed. Pema's story, fantastic. It's beautiful. I love that. The way that they reacted to it, phenomenal. Except for Korra. Again, look, they're both happy on the left-hand side, but Korra, oh, she's a powder. I know she's thinking, but... And she's all happy. Oh, let's go back. Okay, so it's been a... Wait. Oh my gosh. Okay. Has it been a year since the last tournament? What are you talking about? Okay, well... Okay, so a year since the last... No, the tournament. They've probably been doing battles and off-the-cuff practices, live practices with other people on the stage in the arena, but it wasn't an official tournament. It was just who would win in the off-season. I think that's what the case was. So now we're here with the full... Like, since it's been a full year since last time, it's probably been only a month or two, maybe 3, since events, but it's kind of curious as to... Time has passed by 1 or 2 months, maybe 3 months. If it's a whole camp, I don't know. It's weird. So does that guy stay there? Let me get back to him. Does this guy just stay up here because he's the voice actor of the intro that recaps the entire story and then where the narrative's going to be going for the entire story of this one? Does he just stay up in here? Does he have any legs at all? You're a weird guy, dude. You nightmarish thing, you. Actually, one thing to even take into consideration is that they are being backed by the top tier tech company, like the Satomobile. which again, going with the automobile and naming it by the Satomobile. By the way, that's very creative. I props on that. Good job. Again, this show does many things right. Okay, from that one scene, you got to see that him kicking the rock, okay? One of the things is, it can't really have it both ways. There was one scene in one of the fights where there was an earth, what I'm putting into question is, what is the density? What is the earth thing made out of? Because if you can kick it without your foot breaking, then it must be like compacted sand. Which, if that's the case, it should still hurt. But at the same time, they're highly trained professionals. I'd go with that. It has to be sand. It can't just be brick or anything. I would not believe that. I would disbelieve that if that was the case. It has to be something like compact sand. It's the only way that I'd actually believe this entire show. Okay, just wanted to mention, like, I can sort of see where this is going, where because they're on the top of their games, they're going to be in, like, very soon having a disrupt within the entire group, which again, that's just the description of the entire episode, but showing how good they are as a well-oiled machine. Something's going to happen, and I think it's going to crumble their chances and crumble their effectiveness as a team to be working together. Okay, because I thought he was oh, that makes so much more sense, because for a second I thought she was talking to Bolin. I'm like, I would have preferred that, but this makes a lot more sense. Okay. Okay. Oh, and one thing I didn't realize until now is that they have Earth is green, water is blue, fire is orange or red. That's like having the scarves around, or having the belts around their waist. It's pretty cool of a detail.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know, Mako is in a relationship. Okay, Mako's in a relationship he is happy with. Mako is in a relationship who even expressed thought that it makes more sense for him to be dating Asami. He even weighed the two. Like, I could be dating be dating Korra, but it would make more sense to be dating Asami. Like, he was even then using his Earth personality, which they set. Hello Future Me was saying that because he's a firebender, he has a fire personality. It was odd. Korra has a waterbending personality because she's a waterbender. No, she has a firebending personality because she's a hot-headed, in the moment, doing, like, just do it without consequence type of thing. As much crap as I give Korra for this entire thing, the balls you have to do to say that and be very and just accepting any and all consequences from after that. Korra, you got bigger balls than I. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Good freaking job. That's amazing. Yeah. It's one of the situations of it's awkward, but yeah. So she's rebounding on Bolin off of Mako into Bolin's arms, and in this situation, Bolin is the one that's been giving her attention, wanting her. Has been saying, hey, let's go do this. Hey, I think you're amazing. You're probably the best person I've ever known. But Korra still loves Mako. It's just the way, women act. It's just the way that women behave. You give them too much love and respect, well, you're not much of a challenge. You're out. I've had that in many conversations. Like, hi, how are you? Oh, okay. I'm not saying fuck you, you're a bitch, you're a cunt. I've had conversations like that. It's like, I've had a conversation with a woman. I was talking with her, and she said, like, she just stopped talking, and just whatever brought me to ask this question to her, it's like, maybe it was a week, and it's like, okay, well, one question is, well, why did the conversation end? I just want to make certain, so the next time I have a conversation with somebody else, it doesn't end the same way. And she said, I didn't give her a challenge. And it's like, I'm having a conversation. It's like, oh, okay, so there's a different way specifically that women are being programmed and wired. Okay, that brings up an entire slogan. It's like, well, maybe you're just a bitch. Oh, people saying that to me, it's like, you're probably right, who knows. It's, hey, I want to have a conversation. Oh, probably I should just stick my finger up your cooch, slap you in the face, and get back in line. How many women will actually, say, oh my gosh, he's such a man? Which begs the question that might be an incredibly sexist thing, but I have an experience filled with this, is why do women have any, like, why should women be allowed to vote based off that? I'm just saying, if they vote based off, like, power and authority, it's like, well, no. Power and authority in and of itself is not necessarily a good thing. If you really want to go with, well, that's the majority of the population that won't really focus on whatever is good, but, you know, it's one of those things of, like, if men and women act differently, think differently, speak differently, feel differently, and there's certain consequences of actions, like, women have, I'm going off a little speed, I'm just going to be on my soapbox, and I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. I mean, why not? Let's do it. If for any reason that a woman might actually accept only the top 20% of any and all men when it comes to dating, but men will actually accept 80% of any and all women, it's like regardless of whether or not how you think and feel, it's like, you kind of like range acceptable, therefore I'll sleep with you. Or a woman was like, well, you're not really in this small, slim margin, so I'll just choose someone differently. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I'm just saying, you have an expiration. You have a ticking time clock. You are losing your value with each and every coming year. I'm just saying, because men actually become more desirable and acceptable the older they get. They're usually more wise. They're usually more well put together. They usually have a good mentality, good thought system. They're rather usually higher caliber, and younger women usually care about going with older men because of that well-establishment. That's just biology. But it goes into the question of, like, okay, if that's the case, I'm curious. it's oh man, painting myself into a corner. It's always a question that I have. It's like I'm trying to figure it out, and it always sounds horrible the way that it comes out. It's like, why are blacks the way they are? It's like a sincere question I may ask, but then it comes out in the worst possible way, without like the thousands of sentences or questions that I have made before that. And if I was going onto a topic that had, like, well, no, it's entirely out of context as to why I said it. For example, if I said the word fuck your butt, like, whoa, where'd that come out of place? Like, why did you say that? Well, there was the joke that I was thinking, and then I was thinking of another thing that I was thinking, and if you combine the two jokes, it'd be really dirty, like, fuck your butt. One was the word fuck, and the other one was butt, like, haha, poke your butt. And then it's just one thought led to another, and it's just incredibly out of context as to why I even said a certain thing, so I can understand people being upset with any and all things that I say, because I say them either out of context. I've actually had people take them out of context rather than just hearing them out of context, like me saying something and it not be in context, versus them listening to something and then not taking the entire thing in context. Like, hey, I think women should be allowed to vote. But in the same nature, I don't believe any person in the planet has the right to vote for their country. I don't. I think you have a required responsibility to actually execute certain behaviors. If you want Medicare for all, fantastic. But you have to be the healthiest you possibly can be. And with that comes the responsibility of you being as healthy as you can be and even contributing to that Medicare for all. Which means there's a certain culture you have to practice, which means you can be wrong on a subjective level. That on an objective level, you're wrong, your subjectivity might be incorrect. And there's some people out there that argue that you having a subjective, your truth, therefore you get to practice your truth. But my question is, what if your truth is actually wrong? It's not wrong. It's like, well, yeah, you might be executing everything wrong. You might be thinking and feeling wrong. And if it's, well, they get to have their own personal truth, fantastic. I get to have mine. I don't pay taxes, which again, it goes and it blurs. It's one thing that I can agree on many people with whom I disagree upon. The fundamental things that we all have to agree upon are, is there an objective truth, regardless of our subjective opinion? The answer is yes. If you disagree with that, I don't want to associate with you. I don't think you're a good person. I don't care about you. Because I disagree so wholeheartedly with a lot of, let's just say, certain political sides, but on both sides, but at the same time, they actually have a reason, a justification for why they would actually turn out that way. And even if they don't know what the reason is, they understand that, well, yeah, there's certain consequences to the actions in which you take, and Like, if I do something, there's going to be a consequence from that. If you do something, there's going to be a consequence from that. If society does something, there's going to be a consequence. There's going to be an outcome from that. Yeah, I just may not understand it, which I don't care if, like, I don't understand many things. I'm not going to blame any one person because they don't understand how something works or what the consequences may be from how things are or how things function. I don't blame anybody. I don't. That's the opposite. Like, the opposite of blaming would be encouraging. Like, well, actually, I wouldn't encourage, but I don't blame. It's okay, that's just how things are. Like, I don't personally care. But the moment you say everything is subjective and there are no consequences, then that means then you making any definitive statement is an objective claim, is it not? And if it's not and it is subjective, then it gets one of those points of, like, we can have our own subjective feelings, but the consequence, as for an example, science, if you have a wire and then you put electricity through that wire, what's going to come out of it? A hippo? No, because that would be what retards think. Again, if you subjectively think that anything can happen at any and all points, it can happen with a 0 infinite sign percent chance of it actually happening. 0.000.00001% chance that anything can happen at any single point. That can happen, but 99.9999999% chance it's not going to happen, which means that you're derailing the truth of 99% for the case of the 0.001% that might occur. It's like saying there are two genders. Yes. Saying that there's more than two genders. Yes. But the majority, is the objective rule. It's what happens. 5 fingers, 5 toes? Yes, that's the way it happens. Whether or not we don't teach people that human beings have 6 toes. No, you don't say human beings have 6 toes. A person can have 6 toes. The rule that happens, the truth is that it happens this way. There are deviations that happen from specific things. Now, again, I can be wrong, which means I can be corrected towards what is better. And if what is better is what we should be doing, then that means there's an objective direction in which we should be going. So when it comes to truth is not necessarily a black and white situation. It's not just one, or a negative one. It's not just one or the other. It can be a grading scale, but the grading scale has objective results, objective actions that cause it. So that's the way that I think. I do not care when somebody says there's everything subjective. Everything. I know. You can have a subjective opinion. Yes. But that doesn't mean that you should probably be practicing that. I, at one point, thought it would be funny to hit my head on tables. I used to do that when I was younger. It's something that it was part of my childhood because I didn't know how to express myself verbally. That's the one thing that people laughed at, which means I got input from other people by me doing a certain action, which is why I associated hitting my head on tables will get people to laugh. Will get people to be engaged with me. I didn't have many friends when I was in school. That's what happened. So guess what? And that's something that's in my past. But at the same time, you never would recommend somebody to subjectively think that hitting their head on tables would be a good thing, because that's what an evil person would do. It's so silly. Man, I've derailed myself from this entire series. Wow. So again, me disagreeing with you, like, I might disagree that, hey, no, for example, it's like, what would be an example of something that's subject? I like Avatar Korra. Let's go with that. I was trying to think of something a little bit more outside the box, but let's just go with this. I like Avatar Korra, someone says. Okay. I don't know what to do with that. Like, okay, good for you, I guess. Or someone says, I hate Legend of Korra. Okay. I don't know what to do with that. Like, that's a feeling that you got. Okay. Okay, what do you want me to do? Are you happy? You good with that? Okay. Yeah. Why are you angry? Why do you hate it? Why do you love it? That matters to me. And I might disagree with the reason, and I can be wrong. Which also means you can be wrong. Silly Korra. Silly Korra. But at the same time, I think Bolin, actually in this one moment with Korra and Bolin, this is where actually makes not more sense, but more preferred. I'll just leave it at that and move on. So Mako is feeling jealous about his brother dating the Avatar, where he literally has the best thing in front of him. Literally the best thing in front of you. A woman who loves you because of who you are, not because of an event that you went through. Let me say that differently. They care about each other. I don't know. Maybe. I might be wrong. Let me play it out. Let me let it sink in, because it's just one of those things of me yelling at the character doesn't mean the character's doing is that the whole setup is wrong. It's just I don't like the situation. Let's just go with that. I don't like the situation. I think it'll be better.
You know what?
Asami is the best person ever. Literally, like, hey, don't look at them, look at me. It's like, oh, yep. Hey, stop looking at them, look at me. That's weird. But you could have it with... Mako is absolutely in the right, and I think they actually did something good here. They were in the right, because what's going to happen is Bolin and her are going to be going on a date, or if not a few dates, at least a lot of dates tonight, if not over a few days. And Mako is going to be upset that Korra is stringing him along, which he is correct to approach Korra and say, stop stringing my brother along, because you said you loved me. Why the fuck are you going with her? Why are you going with my brother? Korra is the one that's messed up here. The plot that happened, this entire situation that will happen with Mako approaching Korra then stealing a kiss from him, all this cannot happen without Korra literally within seconds being infatuated with the situation of, hey, Bolin, you like me? Oh, let's go. Your brother denied me, and I put my heart out. I put everything out there on the line. Mako said no. Well, you said yes? Okay, let's go with you. I've now completely forgot about Mako. That's the issue I have. They crammed seasons worth into an episode. Yes, Mako being... regardless of what you think Mako is thinking right here, I think he actually has some concern that is correct. He has his brother being strung along by someone who just confessed to him about, I love everything about you. He's worried, which I've seen, about his brother, not just with Korra, maybe even being suspicious. Korra is a grade A bitch. Asami didn't do anything wrong. Trying so hard. Gosh, Bolin. Ugh. That's kind of creepy of having them literally just stare. It's like, yeah. I mean, it adds the creepiness. And again, their act. Korra's face, man. I'm trying to process all the things that have happened before, and then this happens, and it's a good scene. And I think that's just one of the issues that I have. I'm still processing the things from before. And what's happening in this scene is, while they're out on a date, which again feels so rushed. Having a creepy person who just happens to be there, they were snickering and like, hey, look over there, it's the fire ferrets, and with him looking like, oh, I'm such a cool guy. Yeah, he has a very punchable face. Doesn't mean you should probably punch him at all. Don't make eye contact. Makes eye contact. Oh my gosh, there's pictures of him all around. All of them have such a punchable face. Why is it? Oh, I guess birds of a feather flock together. If you have a very punchable face, I'm certain everybody you associate with have a punchable face. There's other shows. There's, let's just say, some political aspects that in the real world of why this one scene sort of bothers me. But in this moment, him being who he is, of just a natural, weird, over insufferable creepy guy doing what he's doing. He feels like he's on top of the world. People say, hey, don't look at this guy, so he can literally do whatever he wants, so it's just more of a bad reinforcement of behavior. Absolutely makes sense. This is really good. I wish I could enjoy it more, though. I really wish I could. I want to enjoy it, because this is, I think, in a very objective, good way of making somebody... But again, it kind of feels a little bit, not rushed, of like, hey, you want to go private... it's just... I don't know. I think it's really good. We'll go with that. Do it. Again, he's such a good antagonist. The way that they drew him, I personally love this type of animation. I'm not saying that the animation's objectively good, but it does make a very distinct nature about his personality. It's like a little overdrawn edges of the eyes. You can see his kind of very creepy face, hair all parted to one side, so he has that aloof type of feel. I love this animation. I really do like this type of style. Her face, on the other hand, is a bit leaving the no. There is that thing of like, I wish there was more. No, there's not that. That's actually a very appropriate way of handling it. Yeah, Naga's outside. Guess what I'll do? Boom, and they all just walk away. Even the person in the back row is like, what the fuck? I gotta admit, if you're gonna go with an Eiffel Tower type of, not copycat, but based off of it, this is a really good way of doing it. Like, this is pretty fancy, I would say.
Get over yourself.
There is sort of a notion of, well, you can actually get a lot of fans if you either hate something fully, or if you hate something, or if you love it fully, and you can get a devoted fan base by doing that. And one of the issues is I was thinking about that while watching this, and I wanted to make certain that I was actually correct. And I don't want to hate this thing just because it's cool to do. Like, I have the idea that I think it's not canon, but it could be correct. But the reason that it's not canon because it breaks the original Avatar series, and because of that break, it can still be its own thing, but still be really good. I don't like this scene because, again, they're rushing the entire love interest that they did pretty well when it came to them saving Bolin, and then it's now all going to be resolved. The entire problem's going to be in an episode. The resolution's going to be in an episode. Maybe where are we? We're halfway through, and they're already again getting through that conflict. They're rushing it. I would have been more okay having watched this entire fight if it played out over a few more episodes. At least a few more episodes, if not at the very end of the series, of the season. Because now you have somebody who maybe it was going back and forth, but again, that back and forth could have been developed a little bit better. That maybe they both don't know, maybe they both want it, but they say that they can't. Maybe one is wanting it more than the other. You could have that little complexity, and then maybe during a final break, like, okay, if Mako, you're not going to be with me after what? Like, I expressed my entire love to you after what? Few days together? I mean, y'all have been training together, but you've expressed, hey, I love you. Where it's like, well, I can't. I'm with Asami, which, again, he's a very loyal type of person and everything. And then Mako is it doesn't seem like he's actually obsessed with Korra, but it actually seems as though he is in the right in saying that you are crazy. Whoever says that you are crazy, you are a liar, I would say that Mako says both of those things to her and would be absolutely correct. That Mako after having had, even though he's kind of considered it, but still more cares about Asami, has said like, well, I'm with Asami. It makes more sense to be with Asami or whatever for whatever reasons that he has. He's going to be with Asami because he's with Asami. Korra comes and expresses her entire feelings to her. She is denied. Mako denies her. Then the next scene inside the same room, Bolin takes her out on a date, and then for the entire night she has a really good time. The thing is, it seems as though you really weren't in love with Mako, and it would seem that you actually are playing games. If not, it seems very suspicious, at least, to even, it would be appropriate to ask a few questions about that. So, it's not that I would be on Mako's side because I'm on Mako's side because Korra is crazy. She's legitimately crazy. I think she emotionally, one quote that keeps getting on my nerves when moments like this happen is that Tenzin, I think in the second episode, was going to teach Korra how to airbend. Well, one of the things that he says is something that's true in the Avatar series, but it's incredibly wrong in this entire series, is that, well, your personality, whatever your personality is, the opposite of that personality is going to be the hardest thing that you can actually adopt. And her personality, Tenzin says, is, what is it? Oh, is of Earth. Okay? Her personality is not of Earth. If anything, it's fire. Her personality is fire. She's very passionate, she's very intense, and whenever the situation's done, she moves on. The flame's over, the flame is now burning onto a new thing. Mako has a personality, even though he's a firebender, his personality is of Earth. He's patient, he's more cool, calm, and collected, he rationalizes things, it comes through with his dialogue and his conversations, including when he's trying to save Bolin, and when he was contemplating of whether or not Korra was actually someone with whom he'd be interested in. Bolin is the air personality. He has not a wishy-washy, but he has his head up in the clouds, as a great analogy. He's dreamy, wishful, hopeful. He's usually light and fluffy. I guess that would be a really good way of putting it. This thing that happens right here with them fighting over their relationship, if you can even call it that, is... Korra is now being arrogant while Mako is legitimately having concerns. You seem to be like a crazy person stringing me along. What seems to be as though you're trying to get back at me. I think Mako took some of the wrong approaches when it comes to just him in the story, but that's my personal preference. I don't think it works at all, or it more establishes of Korra being a crazy, lying, nuts. Just nuts. One thing that has that I've been paying attention to, or at least been exposed to, are some criticisms about some movies and some shows that have a very serious scene that happens, and then because they want to make it more light and lighthearted, they add an element of humor, which sort of brings down the element of the element that came before it, trying to equalize it from how intense it was. But at the same time, them arguing, it really hasn't. Excuse me. It's one of the situations is that the buildup of them being in a very tense situation is equalized by a comical moment that I think would have been wonderful in any other context. Some person saying, "Oh, hey, Mako," maybe somebody who he knows or maybe a fan, and then Mako just rushes inside and he gets no reply. Again, that would have been funny, but I'm not laughing because it's supposed to be a serious moment, but then humor. It just sort of, they needed to have taken their time with it. Wait, no, that's correct. No, that's correct. Okay, I was thinking something else. Boar coupons? My goodness, that's clever. It might be cheap animation, and I don't fault them for wanting to save maybe time, energy, effort, resources on not wanting to animate certain scenes and instead just doing a little slow-mo. Sometimes I do enjoy the slow-mo. It's like some of the trailers from World of Warcraft that they produced, or League of Legends that they produced, where it's just like a little screenshot, but then when they move the camera, it looks like a 3D image, and it's the dialogue, it's the narrative, it's the narration behind that's happening over the entire scene of moving a little bit. It's hard to describe. If you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend looking up Voluk from League of Legends. He's a giant octopus thing, and I think that would put it wonderfully. Or the Warlords of Draenor stories. I think there's like 6 tales, and you get to see a lot of it. It's just like it's hand drawn, but it looks like somebody's drawing, but you don't see the pen or anything. It's just like it's being painted as you see it, and the animation is just like every 8 frames it changes, or every 10 or 20, 30 frames it changes one, or if that's correct. It's just it takes its time to change to the next scene. It's really good. I love that, but because they're using it here, I think again it's one of those things that it feels like they're rushing it. Yeah. It's like they just are off their game. It's like we don't see many more clashes. It's just we've already been established that they have clashed. We've already established. I might have a personal issue with this. I don't think it's an actual issue. Let's go with that. Good job, Bolin. Again, this is Bolin is stepping up. This is good. This is really good. In this situation, the unfortunate thing is like the cool, calm, and collected one, which we've seen. It's just more of the. It's good. It's really good. If anything, maybe Korra. Actually, I would even say that Korra should have been the one that says, like, "Hey, I got this," because she's usually the hothead, and if she's the one that did it, Bolin saying like, "Hey, but frankly, your head's not in the game. I got this one. You're not doing so well." And then his brother would probably say like, "Are you sure?" And he looks towards the group, like looks towards the camera, while the two, both Korra is on his right side, our left, and then Mako is on his left, our right, behind him. And while walking forward, he says, "I'm certain of it." And it's just like you get to see that he's in the zone. He's in the. It would add a lot to his character in this. Korra really has no dialogue there? Really? Yeah. What? I forgot about this. No! Aren't you supposed to just use your element? Which begs the question, as you can actually punch somebody, but you... It might be a special case, because it hasn't been done anywhere else, sort of, that if you're in this tiebreaker, little smaller arena, the challenge floor, then you can use grappling, physical attacks, you can actually touch the other person, but you've never been able to do that, as it seems. You've never been able to get close enough to do that. This is the one case where what they should have done, oh my gosh, I think I've gotten up every single episode, because I'm trying to think this through. Okay, so if we have Bolin. Okay, so if we have Bolin, and he is... If this is the pro bending arena, I don't understand why they wouldn't have it where you cannot attack another person, because you cannot go over the line, right? Unless in this situation, you can go over the line. If they are... There's literally 2 lines right here. Why would they not have kept this? They could probably make it a rule. Which one would make more sense? They've had rules, and it's just more of a question. Regardless of wherever thought comes out, which would make sense? Which would make more sense, at least? they've had rules where you cannot cross the line until the other team is on the other side. But if somebody comes onto your side, well, wait, but then that would break it, right? You can't go into the next, you can't move forward, because in some of the scenes before, isn't it Mako using that fire attack, and then one of the members from the Tiger Delos from long ago was blown off the back end? And if he was blown off the back end while Mako was in that frame, then you can actually move forward. But you can't move forward because you get a penalty. So maybe there's just some flaws in that one, but I don't understand why you would actually have in a pro bending arena have this one situation. Shouldn't you have it where it's bender versus bender and it's just in close proximity that you cannot get onto the other side? If anything, yeah. Now again, if we're going to go with the rules by what has happened, by what is established, by him jumping over the line and there's no issue, then this can happen. But the thing is that no one up to this point has practiced grappling. It's not something that is being practiced, so I'm curious as to if Mako did it, and this exact same situation was happening, and they could grapple, I'd still be curious as to why grappling would be allowed in the sport, rather than having it be bender versus bender, where you get to highlight it's like people would want to watch this type of thing, because you would have two benders bending at such close proximity that that all the activities that are happening have been ceased, and it's literally mano a mano, one-on-one. So I don't think this is actually legitimate. This doesn't make any sense. It's one of those things of like, well, it's established visually, therefore that's the way that it happens. And I don't think that would be correct. Oh, no. I don't think that would be correct at all. Wow. That's interesting. I'd never considered that. Okay, I'm going to pause and I'll be right back. Okay, I needed that break. I went to the fridge because I was hungry. It's lunch. I missed my lunch, so I just ate 2 apples. All I literally have in my fridge are like 18 eggs, sliced up turkey meat, and avocados. That's a good meal. That's all I got in my fridge, so I'm going to be working on that for the next day or two until I'm trying to save money, use my money, so I'm trying to just eat all the whew, man, got all these apples in me. I eat too many apples. My belly's about to burst. Let's get into this. You know, I enjoyed so much of my apples, I forgot that I was watching Avatar. Avatar Korra. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this scene. Where are we? Oh. I had like a 20-minute break. I come back to this? What is happening? Again, there's so many, like this only feels rushed. I haven't seen... This doesn't even make any sense, because he even said it would make more sense to go out with, like, why? If it wasn't as rushed, I think everything that is happening right now could have played out very well. The thing is, okay. Maybe it's the apple. Maybe I'm just so filled with apples right now that I just don't know whether or not this is a good scene. We'll call it a good scene, and then we'll keep moving on. I still, for the life of me, cannot believe that Tenzin said that she is an earth-bending personality. She has an earth-bending personality. I think that's the biggest thing that I haven't upset with. It's like, this scene, probably be the way that it'd be, that I'd even do it or something, whatever, but it's just, that is so non-earthbending personality type. Just rush in there. Get in there. Get in here. Get over here. Use your little tongue. There you go. Just get right up in there. Get it. Oh, you're so happy. Did you like that? Did you like the spit? Did you like it? Did you get the saliva down your throat? Did you like it, Korra? Why are they only ones out here? Like, is this after the show? What's going on here? One, this... I don't... There's no words. Let's keep watching. Yes! Korra! You're blaming me? Not again, am I What the fuck? You're blaming me? You kissed me! You kissed me back! True. But it's one of those situations like, I don't think we should be doing this. Let's do it. And then it's not even telling him that we're gonna like, let's do it. So, wait. Him saying that you kissed me back. Again. Over. Yeah, I see you saying the word again over and over and over. An action done in isolation can be one of those things that you just brush over. It's not really anything. But I've seen over and over and over and over again with Korra constantly being an insufferable cunt. This argument would sort of make sense, but she's made many of these arguments in the past. Not even just these arguments, but these moments of, it's not my fault, in the past. Wow. Okay. You kissed me. That is an issue. You kissed me back. Yeah, you didn't stop the kiss. That is sort of a thing. Like, it's like, you didn't stop it. You didn't, like, push her away. You know, like, you went with it. But at the same time, Korra, this entire situation would not have happened if you didn't kiss. This entire situation wouldn't have happened if he pushed you away. But at the same time, you putting him in the position where he had to push you away would mean that if he, by pushing you away and someone else saw it, it would be your fault. But the fact that he continued to kiss means that you were now again left in a situation where you did not have to face your responsibilities. Can't be my fault. Gosh, Korra. Really? You're gonna strike an attitude? You're gonna strike an attitude. Oh my gosh, you're such a bitch. Oh, you deserve to be smacked in the face. Like, literally, just one big slap from Fat Garrett, from The Last of Us 2. Just one big, that'd be great. There we go. Okay, you know, I take everything back. She feels a little sorry. Okay, it's doesn't excuse her actions. I feel better about what's happening right now. Gosh. Oh, okay, we're good. Holy crap. Oh, you're a brother betrayer. If anything, the beautiful thing about this is that Mako did warn Bolin to not get in a relationship with Korra because it might turn out bad and actually disintegrate the entire integrity of the group. The thing is, it was Mako that did it. It's a great storyline. Objectively, a great rendition of the word irony, if I'm using that correctly. Yeah, you're a bad idea, Mako. You're a bad idea. And it's a good thing of him being maybe overtly tired, him have eaten too much, being resembling him being drunk or something. Yeah, I'd go with that. That looked weird. Actually, something you can even take is that maybe you could even reverse Asami and Bolin's personality, between Asami being maybe more of an air personality, and then Bolin maybe the water personality, because he might be just so passionate about something or just so caring. I don't know. Again, this situation is very unique because it's universal to all people, you being upset about a love, but or a heartthrob. Yeah, but I could see that, of being Asami having more of an air personality, if we were to give each character in the Korra gang, the Core gang. That's weird. The Corgi gang. You could have it where Asami's the air and Bolin's the water personality. Ooh. Okay. This is probably the best dialogue I've ever heard in the entire show. Not necessarily because of the dialogue, but the implication that we're brothers, get over it, we matter most, we matter first, okay? Korra, the Avatar, at this moment she's just a girl. We're brothers, we're more important than the Avatar. That's not saying that it's Korra or anything, it's just like, we're brothers, we're all, like, hey, bond, connection, great. Done. Move on to the next topic. If you wanted to speed up the entire process of dialogue, this is what you do. This is how you do it. A strong, unspoken or something. It's just like a bond you just don't need to talk about. A bond, it's like, hey, get over it. Oh, okay. Why? We're brothers. We're good. We're gonna get through this. Why? Okay, let me go back, because that didn't make any sense. Okay, I don't understand what they're doing here. It's like what are you talking about? Is it a point-based system that if you are able to knock all of them out? I think the point system here is being utilized incorrectly. Right? Because isn't it that... How could they go through this entire battle having 3 members in 4, right? Korra was knocked out, right? If not Bolin. All 3 of them were knocked out in 2, if not 4, if I remember correctly. 4 times they were knocked out. I think 2 of them was with Bolin. With the fire ferrets. Those 4 should add up to more than those 3 that were knocked out, and them losing the 2 matches before, now having knocked out all 3 of the other team. How does, in the point system, make sense? Like, if any, like, is it the fact that by getting everybody out, it achieves a 2-point victory? That if you're able to knock out everybody, instead of having to win 1 match, you win 2. So all you have to, so if that's the case, I don't get the point system here. It's one of those, they could have struggled. Like the first match they did okay, they were getting by the skin of their teeth and just maybe it was a tie. And then the second match, they could have it where they just lose unequivocally. They just lose without like the other team just knocks them all out or something. Just somehow I don't get it. I could have missed something. But if they lost 2 of the matches, how the heck did they win the entire tournament? Not the tournament, their game with the other team. Right? If they lost 2 out of the 3 matches, how did they win the last one? Unless knocking out all 3 is like capturing the golden snitch in Harry Potter. Which, I don't know why they ever called it the golden snitch. You're supposed to get the snitch. Get him, guys. Get the snitch. I don't get it. Them having said that, like, the whole love interest thing was so much better than Avatar. They took their time. Oh, you want to just be friends? Yeah, let's be friends. It's not, hey, you know what? What would be better is if we're still friends for the sake of the team. Like, I still care about the team, I still care about you two, but, you know, let's keep doing this for the team because we seem to be unstoppable when we work together. I think that would have fixed everything rather than just saying, hey guys, you want to resolve this? Cool. You want to be friends? Yeah! Problem solved. Moving on. Really? The entire story and arc, done. Complete. Finished! Bolin was like, oh, Asami? Oh, I forgot I had an injury. Let me go take care of that. I'm gonna sneak my way out of here because of how complicated the situation might be. Oh. Okay, I changed my mind. He actually is like Aang. So I think he has more of an airbending personality. Because in this moment he said, okay, I'm over it now. And then, like, we had fun, didn't we? Like, more of a kid-like, youthful mentality of, okay, next thing. Let's be happy. Let's move on to the next thing. I want a new activity. Let's play a new game. Type of thinking. That's a really weird way of just...
You're in triple.
Oh, shut up. It's just, like, every single time that I come to Netflix, it's one of those... Because of them uploading cuties, I'm still going to be using Netflix until I'm done with Korra, and then I'm just done. But one of the issues that it's one of the best places that I can actually watch Korra and actually have the titles and have the audio at a minimal, so you can read what's going on the screen. I think that's one of the reasons, if not the reason, I need to be using it. But that's a hell of a way of just like, ooh, we're done. Next, like, end caption, closing scene, closing captions or something. It's Again, that's one of this. I think we just cut off a little bit too early, but maybe you should have even given the main antagonist, who was in the White Wolf's wolf bat thingies, whatever their team was called, the wolf bats. Give the main antagonist a look towards Korra, and Korra gives a look towards him, and you get to see, like, maybe in like a cut, not a cut scene, but a divided picture with Korra on one side and then the White Wolf antagonist on the other, and it's just one of those, like, you have that creepy look, and then it moves on to the next scene. But it's just that ended way too quickly. Oh my gosh, they won! Look at them! Okay, we're done. Woo! It's like, oh, okay. Okay, that was quick. That was okay. We're moving on. Wow. Huh. Now, I don't know. I don't think that this episode was not canon. I forgot some of the things that I was mentioning from the very beginning of the episode. And what I'd have to do is actually have to review the entire episode. Not even just watch the entire episode, but actually review the notes that I've been taking, which is the entire recording, and then see if any and all things are valid. Go back and watch it in, like, whoa, and then reviewing it in real time of the thoughts that I'm thinking. Because I don't think that episode was bad. I think there were a lot of issues, but if you were to take it as it is within its own universe, not that bad. Not that bad. It actually could be pretty good. But that love scene, man, that was way too rushed. I don't mind it. It's like, haha, let's just focus on something else. But I'm not happy about that. They just rushed it, though. I don't know, I might be contradicting myself. Anyways, I'm tired. It's a great time to move on. It is that... trying to... whatever. Okay, words. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Please post your comments, questions, and concerns right down below. Please smash that like and subscribe button, because that would greatly help this channel out. And most importantly, go out and do wonders. Thank you very much for being a part of this, and I'll see you next time. Beep.